I'd like to call this June 5th, 2023 closed session meeting. Pursuant to 143-318-11A3 to consult with the town attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the counsel, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. And also pursuant to 143-318-11A5 to instruct the public body staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion before we go in? All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to welcome everybody out to the June 5th, 2023 meeting. We'll be coming out of closed session. Do I have a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you all for coming out tonight. Does any member of council have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest in regards to any item on the agenda? If so, please state at this time. Mr. Borman?
No, sir.
Mr. Phillips?
No, sir.
Mr. Nairn?
No, sir.
Mr. Corbett?
No, sir.
Mr. Hargreaves?
No, sir.
All right. Moving on next. Amendment and approval of the draft agenda. Does any council member have anything that needs to be amended?
No.
Mr. Phillips?
No.
Not for me.
Everybody
No.
good?
No.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the draft agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the action discussion resulting from the closed session, there was no action in closed session that results to come out here, so we'll be moving on. General council discussion, does any member of council have anything? Go ahead, Mr. Corbett.
I'd just like to say thank you to the police department, fire department, who provided the honor guards for the Memorial Day ceremony. Also to DPW, Cindy, Alan, and all the town staff that provided the support to help the town of Sunset Beach and the Committee to Honor American Veterans conduct this co-hosted ceremony. Thank you.
Got anything, Ms. Hargreaves?
Yeah,
Go
I've
ahead.
got two things. First thing, I'd like to recognize our fire chief, Richard Childress, for a job well done. He organized and moderated a meeting last week for our citizens who will be directly affected by the closure of the Calabash Bridge in September. Richard put together a panel, and I attended the meeting, and it was well done. The officials, the panel was for Brunswick County Emergency Operations, Brunswick County Emergency Services, Brunswick County Sheriff's Department, Calabash Fire Department, and Sunset Beach Fire and Police Department. The program was well attended, and I was very impressed, as I said a moment ago, and I think it did help reassure our citizens that there are plans in place for emergency situations that may be occurring during the period when that Calabash Bridge will be closed. And if you're here tonight, or if you're watching on YouTube and didn't attend that, and this is part that may affect you if you live over by in our town towards the Calabash Bridge, I'd really encourage you to watch the YouTube video. It may help you feel much calmer about the situation you'll be in without that bridge being there. So, Chief, just want to thank you. I think you did a great job. Job well done. So, thank you.
Wait just a second. You got one more?
Yeah, one more quick one. Do you remember Charlie and I promised that during any beach parking committee meetings we'd report back to council with very short reports on what happened. We've had, since our last council meeting, we've had two meetings. The first one, this is the beach parking committee dealing with island parking. The first one was held on May 10th. It was just an organizational meeting primarily. We set aside some time during that meeting to get to know one another, to review the charge of the committee from council, to discuss the important work that lies ahead and how we'll strive to make decisions. The second meeting was held on May 30th. We held a Zoom conference with Kyle Brewer. He's the Surf City manager. And we heard a presentation from Kyle on the program that they call Taking Back Their Right-of-Ways. The idea of reclaiming their right-of-ways because they, like us, they have not paid that much attention to their right-of-ways in 40 years. And so they're doing a project to try to gain back their right-of-ways for many reasons. And he went into all those reasons. It was a well-presented program, and it got us thinking about it. And by the way, also, he began talking about paid parking, and that sort of generated a lot of questions from the committee also. So Charlie and I are impressed with our committee. Very interested people, had a lot of questions. And our next meeting is going to be June 28th, and that will be going over phase 1 of the parking study that Charlie and I accomplished. So Charlie, anything you add to all that?
No, I appreciate the committee. I tell you what, the luck of the draw was good to us with this committee. very intelligent, well-thought people. I have something else.
We'll go
My
with it.
turn?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Neighbors are concerned about the traffic light at the north entrance to Sea Trail. Is it going to be in by the time they close the bridge? So I told them I'd bring it up, and there it is. So thank you.
Mr. Boardman, Mr. Phillips, y'all got anything?
Nothing more.
Moving on next, we'll be going to our public hearing proposed fiscal year 2023 budget. Ms. Terry, I'm going to let you speak first, and then we'll go from there. We'll open it up to any citizen. Bottom.
Try it now. It sounds like you're on. Give it a
The
shot.
light's not on. It is working. Okay. So I have put together a little bit of PowerPoint so we can kind of go through our budget and what it looks like and what it means, what the tax change means. If you... So the overview is we're going to look at fund balance, the revenues that we have, and the tax rate. So the first thing, one of the most important things that we have is our fund balance. And I will put this on the website when we are through with this, probably tomorrow. So it'll be available for people to go back and view if you miss anything that I'm saying, because I'm just going to kind of do like a quick run through of this. There are many reasons to have a strong fund balance and to not continuously draw down on your fund balance. The LGC, any debt that we need,
LGC.
the LGC, our local government commission, that monitors all of our finances and whether or not we can have debt. So if we can finance different things for the town, like fire trucks. We get an increased investment income due to having a higher fund balance because we can invest that. So we all have different funds in local government. In Sunset Beach, we have a general fund, a Powellville fund. We have a Sunset at Sunset fund because that is pretty well self-contained. We have the accommodation tax fund, the beach erosion fund, and right now we have the dredging fund. One of the things that we'd like to do is set up the capital reserve fund with this next budget. So we have multiple kinds of revenues as well. So property tax is one of our revenues that we have. The other ones are more intergovernmental. We have the county fire fees, motor vehicle tax, sales and use. We have different permits and fees that we charge for different services. We go after grants. If there's like street paving, we have special assessments, things like that, which is where we'll get the dredging money returned as well. So the main focus that we have is on property tax this year. So our ad valorem tax is what we have the most control over. It makes up 44% of our proposed budget. All of the local government classes I've attended, they want you to keep your percentage around 40 to 50%. If you drop too low, you are in danger of not having a fully funded budget because the other ones are harder to estimate and you do not have control over them. It depends on the economy and there's different factors that go into the other revenues that we have. So previous to this, we were in around 32%, 35%, I think, one year. It varies, but with going into this next budget, it's preparing us to be right around the 40%, which has brought us into the range that we want to be in. So, in talking about property taxes, I have pulled some random properties within the town and what their tax value was in 2022, what their tax value will be in 2023, and what the impact is on the individual taxpayer. So one of the things that I've seen that we've had brought to our attention, or a concern that we've heard, is that everybody's taxes will increase by 50, anywhere I've heard from 54 to 57%. And that's actually not an accurate number. It depends on the individual assessment. So not everybody's property increased by 60%. So I'll just go ahead and show you the very first one that we have. So this is an island property. This island property did not change by very much. It went up 0.5%. So I'm not sure why it got off after it got saved on there, but it's separated. So you can see in 2022, it was 1,024,000 roughly, 1,025,000 roughly. Their total taxes for that year, for 2022, were around $7,000. The Sunset Beach tax was $1,640 roughly. And the fire fee remains the same. That is based on your square footage. So if you do not add square footage to your house, that fire fee will not change. The Sunset Beach fire fee as well is something that the county collects, and then it's a restricted fee. It can only be spent on the operating funds for the fire department. It is not intended to be spent on capital. So for this property, the total increase in their taxes is $8. Actually, this is the wrong, I have messed that up. It actually decreased. I apologize. I did this today, so I have a few typos apparently. Their actual change, the tax rate for Sunset Beach, yes, is $8 change just for Sunset Beach. Their overall tax change was in the negative. So it decreased by $1,435.48. That is with the county, with Sunset Beach, and with the fire fee. So if you go to the next one, this mainland property actually did increase in value by 60%. And it went from $360,880 to $578,340. The Sunset Beach tax effect that was had on this was $347. And that's with a 60% appraisal value increase. Their overall total taxes actually only increased by 21%. And that dollar amount would be $570. And this is on an almost $600,000 home. So if you go to property 3, this was an increased property of 25.2%. This one actually also will decrease in 23 for overall taxes. It actually will decrease by $143 from 2022 to 2023. So percentages can look like scary numbers, but the dollar value and what you're looking at is actually not as significant as it sounds when you're looking at the percentages. Their Sunset Beach tax by itself did increase by $360, but the total altogether actually decreased. So then we had another property that increased by 68%. Their overall taxes actually increased by 26%, or $320 for the year. And like I said, I will have these on the website for you to see. So the breakdown of property taxes for Sunset Beach is that Sunset Beach, of your tax bill that you get for the property taxes, Sunset Beach actually gets 32% of that, and the county gets 68%. So if you have a $400,000 home, your taxes would be around $2,000, and Sunset Beach gets around $640 of that. It's close to $1,400 that will go to the county. And this is just kind of an overview of fire fees. We don't really need to go over that. It's just saying, I was just saying the same thing that I hadn't changed. So motor vehicle tax is something that we don't have control over. It makes up about 1.2% of our budget that we have, or roughly $116,000. So sales and use tax is always a focus. It is managed by the county as far as how they allocate it to the towns. they are able to change their distribution method. And that would have, if they decided in 1 year to change the distribution method, that would have a negative impact on the town. We could potentially lose 30% of that, which could be around $600,000 if they were to change that allocation method or distribution method. And then there's other revenues that we get that are interlocal revenues that we base on previous years, and the League of Municipalities, that is a resource to us. They give us estimations of what those will be each year. A lot of these are on the decline. And then we have the permits and fees. I will say building inspection fees are restricted to be only used for building inspections departments. So we don't take those into consideration outside of the building inspections department. And then we have service fees. However, in Sunset Beach, we don't implement a lot of service fees. We have just the voluntary recycling. It's not mandatory. We have the beach wheelchair rentals and then the special events. We also, in Sunset Beach, have staff that try to get as many grants as we possibly can. And we go through like the sale of surplus properties, and we do get donations from the public. These are not things that we can budget for because they're not guaranteed funds. So if we were to lose, last year we got $2.2 million in non-recurring revenue. And that included grant funds, loan proceeds, sale of surplus, donations, among other things. If we were to lose that, that would be 8.5 cents in property tax is what that would equate to. And then we do have the occupancy tax. 3% of that is what benefits the general fund. And that is typically around a $350,000 transfer into our general fund because we're on the original local act, which gives us legislation to be able to supplement our fire and police with that. We have had different reports that the homes in Sunset Beach are becoming less secondary and more primary as people are moving here more full time. So this is something that we have to be very conservative with. It went on the rise for a while. It's now leveling off and possibly decreasing. So if we lost all of those, like intergovernmental or things changed, that would be up to a 37-cent tax rate, which will never happen. It's just up to that amount is how much it could potentially change for us, depending on the revenues that we do not have control over. So why are we looking at this budget in the form that we're looking at it? One of the things that we have not been able to do in Sunset Beach is plan for the future. We want to set up a capital reserve fund. When you set up a capital reserve fund, you're able to replace the vehicles that need to be replaced, replace the equipment that needs to be replaced. We have needs for public works. We have outgrown town hall with our staff. We have the Majestic Oak Park that is in fact for all visitors and residents alike. We're excited about that. We have had staff added over the last few years due to the growth in the population, and we have to continue the services that we have that have had to expand. We have things like a second pickup that comes out of accommodation tax that has grown. We have leaf and limb that we have for every resident here. That's a significant cost to the citizens that we don't charge a fee for. It's part of the taxes. At this point, I'll ask council if you have any questions for me specifically. I will say that in this year's budget, we have around $770,000 in capital purchases that are needs that we have looked at in this budget that since we started the budget process in February.
I have a question.
Yes.
And I think this is probably a question that many of our citizens are going to be asking. The property valuations went up and as you've shown, they have different impacts here. But one of the big reasons the impact is not too severe is that the county dropped their tax from 0.48, yeah,
To point, so
0.48 to
0.485,
.03. Yeah.
they did go up in their tax
Did they raise it
from
again?
revenue neutral. So their revenue neutral, I think, was 33.7,
Yeah.
and they're going to 34.25.
But the point being, they had a big reduction in their tax rate that sort of compensated for the rise in property values that went on. And that mitigated the increase in the impact on all of our citizens. And so we're not doing that. And so the question becomes, why are we not giving our citizens a break and reducing taxes
So the
here
amount,
also?
yeah. So with Brunswick County, counties and municipalities offer different types of services, but with Brunswick County, one of the things that sets them apart from us is their commercial. So we have had added commercial in the county. We have had added the homes that have been added that are outside of municipalities. That's added to their revenue in the current year. So a lot of the building that's taken place is not within inside of the municipality that we see, even around Sunset Beach. It's outside of our property tax range. The county gets all of that revenue. We didn't have as much growth for that. And they get all of every municipality's homes, every single new home that the municipalities have gotten, plus every single new home outside of that, on top of all of the commercial. So they had different types of revenues added to that us as the municipality did not. It's sort of like comparing two different things, but they have different resources that we don't have.
So why do we need the money? What are we going to do with the extra income?
So
Well, you were broad generalities there. I mean, can you give us a comfort level that we know what we're going to spend it on and why we have
in
a
the previous
strategic
years,
plan looking to the future?
in the previous years for this budget, we have not had we really haven't budgeted any capital in our budget. So we have adjusted and taken from fund balance and not been able to plan ahead. So we've had to, I think this year we've done 7 budget amendments to try to get the capital that we need to replace everything. The capital that we've budgeted due to having the increased amount of money is around $770,000. We also were at an operating budget, not last year, but the year before that, and have added, I know for a fact, at least 3 police officers. And each police officer, when you have not to pick on the police department, but you have benefits and salary and things like that. I mean, that's another probably $300,000 right there that we didn't have a tax adjustment for. We haven't adjusted the taxes in Sunset Beach to keep up with added services and staff. So there's that. Then the build out of Majestic Oak that we have to do in the next 3 years. That's a specific thing. We have the Public Works building for the property that we have purchased that needs to be built out.
So what are we using that for?
The
Public Works. What do we need a new building and
to
stuff?
store the equipment that we have currently out in the weather that needs to be protected. So we would move the Public Works about from behind the fire department where you come over the bridge out to over by Fire Station 2 and have a building that would actually accommodate all the equipment that we've had to have, like stormwater equipment. We have the vac truck that needs to be protected from the elements.
Anybody else got questions?
I will address the dredging because I think that's also going to be a concern. So I know that the budget message that I wrote was not very clear on what I meant by that. So the money that we transferred in this current year, 22-23, was $1.7 million roughly. I pulled that out of the total budget expenditures so that it didn't skew how much the budget changed. Because if I didn't take that out of there, it looked like we decreased our budget this year from 22-23 to 23-24. If I kept that in there, it looks like, oh, well, we decreased the budget and increased tax revenue. And that didn't make sense. So it's basically coming out because it's come out of fund balance. That 1.7, it will be replaced, but we're not going to see that yet. That will start in 24-25, where we will start seeing that, and then people will have 3 years to replace those funds that have come out.
That's when the affected property owners around
Will
the
start.
dredging
Mhm.
will start paying for the costs of the dredging that
Correct.
wasn't covered by the grant.
Yep.
Everybody knows costs are going up for everything. Same fire truck we ordered 3 years ago is
It was-
300,000 more.
Yeah, it was 800 and it's a different truck. It would have been 875,000, but it increased up to 1.3 million. Is that 1.5 million?
Richard, what did we pay for that, the truck we're replacing? What did we pay for the truck we're replacing at this point?
That was back in 2007.
$330 for a fire truck, and now it's over $1 million, $1.5
$1.5 million.
And it's a 3-year build out. The earliest we would get it is 3 years from now.
Another thing is our streets, the cost of paving, 28th Street, we wanted to pave. People at the higher end of the street didn't want to go into the expense because they didn't have the water problems we have at the lower end of the street. And there were plenty of other streets that people wanted their streets paved. And I can't remember the number of the difference, how much the paving had gone up, but it was very substantial, enough that nobody wanted to go ahead and pave their streets. Now there's an alternate plan to use that 57 gravel, which is much cheaper.
You also have the beach walkways have basically doubled in price
Yeah.
They have.
to do those. And we have 33 of those that need to be maintained and regularly replaced.
Do you have the comparison from what replacing a beach access was 2 years ago to what it is today?
I want to say it doubled, right? Yeah.
Tara.
Yes.
So you've talked about why Brunswick County would be significantly different in how they take in revenues as compared to Sunset Beach, but we also have lists here that have been published about some of the other towns.
So the other towns. So when you look at
the other coastal towns that are our neighbors.
So when you look at each town individually, if you want to compare each town like that, you really have to look at the services they offer as well and what other revenues they're bringing in as well. I can tell you that I know that Ocean Isle, so where we bring in around $700,000 in accommodation tax, their revenue just for accommodation tax is over $3.5 million. So they have that additional accommodation tax revenue coming in on top of that, because
they've got more rental
they have
properties?
more rental properties. Their population is lower than ours because a lot of their homes are second homes. So I don't know what their services are specifically as far as like leaf and limb or recycling or what they offer. When you look at that and you look at the quality of their fire department or look at the quality of their police department, you would have to take all of those into consideration in order to be able to say our tax rate is comparable to their tax rate, is comparable to this one's tax rate. I mean, if you look at Calabash, they don't have police or fire. They contract with the sheriff's office. And then if you look at Shallotte just added a whole lot of commercial in the last year or so. And commercial revenue is by far exceeds residential revenue. The amount of money that they bring in from commercial is significant. And so when you bring in all that commercial, it takes some of the burden off of the residential taxpayers. And we don't have much commercial here. Compared to if you look at some of the other towns, I want to say Ocean Isle has 3 or 4 hotels. Those are considered commercial. So they're also bringing in higher tax rate or tax dollars as well as the accommodation tax. So you would have to really take a deep dive into every individual budget and what their services are in order to compare tax rates like that.
So are commercial properties included in the reassessment of properties, the way
Yes.
the residential properties are?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's every property in the town.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd sort of like to make a comment. I mean, the council, with your help, goes through a fairly long, tedious, and careful process of looking at the requirements and things that we have. Over the last several years, we have done careful thinking about the requests that we've had from police department for equipment, for staffing, and meeting the needs of the community. And with that, we've made the decisions that increase the staff. We have done the same thing with the fire department, and I think across the board, we've had a deliberate concern that we make sure that both of those departments are properly equipped as well as properly manned and with salary packages that hopefully are competitive. Our public works and stormwater department, we've had $1 million plus stormwater program with very expensive equipment that we've had to purchase because stormwater is a critical issue in this community. Department of Public Works taking care of the beaches, taking care of the roads and the other areas. It's a constant challenge that they have, and all of those things have become more and more expensive. So it's not been frivolous decisions that the council has made to increase and improve the services or to keep the quality going and addressing what I consider the safety and security of our community, which has a aging demographic, and I think most of us appreciate the safety and security that these agencies provide. So I'm comfortable with our budget, and I'd say thank you.
Thank you.
You sort of have to think of it like, what do I want to give up? Several years ago, we talked about giving up the leaf and limb, and the ceiling fell in on us. We could do away with our police department and depend on the sheriff. We could do away with our fire department and depend on the county. But what level of protection do we want? And with all the people moving here, there's going to be more calls for service for the police. The traffic alone, even now, is at times, takes 2 times to get through the lighted Calabash, which used to be a 3rd or 4th car. Everything costs money. Do I like the tax rate and the additional cost to the taxpayers? No, because I'm paying that too. Do I think we have a good budget? Yes. And it was a lot of work by all the department heads. And I've been told that Tara keeps a real close eye on all of them. I mean, we look at it all, and so it comes down to what do you want to give up?
I'm the new guy, and I've been thoroughly amazed at the ability of the staff of this town to make ends meet at 16 cents per $100 assessed valuation. I've looked over and over again at the work that Tara does or Lisa does, and how we are able to afford the quality of public services that we have, the people that we have, the staff that we have, and they're amazing people. They work very, very hard, but how we are able to put the dollars together to pay for all this is really amazing. And I think we've come to a point now where something's got to give. And that something is the tax rate. And as we've looked and we spent virtually hours looking at this stuff, it became very apparent that the time of just finagling money and getting it from here, getting it from there, and making it work, we can't do it anymore. We've got to raise the tax rate. There's no question about that. And it's amazing what they've done in the past, but we can't ask them to continue to do that. They can't. So I think this is it's a well thought out budget. It's a budget, I think, that will help us move forward in the future with at least the same services we have now, and hopefully, in addition to picking up some of those, some more services as we go on. And we're not raising the tax rate, but we are, as you know, with reevaluation,
Clarifying that.
collecting a few more dollars. So if I made that point, I'm sorry, but we're not raising the tax rate.
Charlie moment.
We are getting an increase, but it is desperately needed, I think, to make this town go. So thank you.
I do have another question. If it wasn't for this so-called windfall, would we have had to raise the tax rate, to meet this budget?
Yes.
Do you have any idea?
You're saying if we
roughly?
didn't have the reappraisal this year, would we have had to
Increase the
raise the
tax rate?
taxes? I mean, yes. We were at an operating budget pulling from fund balance. And now this has given us the opportunity to prepare for the future, as well as, I don't know what that exact number is, because we are trying to plan and put money in the capital reserve as well. I would say that we would have had to come up at least 5 cents.
When you say without taking from the fund balance itself is our savings account. Is that correct? So that would
So
be.
we're trying to
we
use...
would have to be pulling out of our savings account to pay the bills and to do what we're trying to do.
Right.
Yes.
So we're trying to not use fund balance as a savings account. We're trying to set up a reserve fund so that, because the fund balance is essentially for emergencies. So if a hurricane comes in and wipes everything out and people can't pay their taxes at that moment because everything has completely been destroyed, we can still keep moving forward, keep the government moving forward for that percentage of time. So if we're at 75%, 3/4 of the year, we can keep everything moving forward with what we have. That's why they suggest for a beach town to have a strong fund balance. We've been using it to try to replace capital. And so that's why we're getting lower in our fund balance percentages. So we're trying to set up that savings account so that we can maintain our percentage, which is for the local government commission, as well as all these other things that I've mentioned, and still be able to set up our capital improvement plan moving forward and knowing what we have year to year to year.
So,
Yes.
so you're saying that's what some of the increased revenue is now going towards?
We
setting up the
allocated
future.
150,000 into that, as well as the 150,000 deposit on the fire truck. I mean, that's
Okay.
and then 700,000 in the capital needs that we have in here as well.
Another area that's very, very important are salaries. Salaries for employees. Can you hit upon that? Why these salaries have to adjust? Why they have to move? Why they have to become more? Why benefits have to
So
increase?
one of the main focuses is on police and fire. I have heard through the grapevine that other towns in the area have given already, are at the point of accepting a 10% COLA plus merit. we were behind them in our salaries to start with, and we're bringing our salaries up to try to compete with them, because the people will they'll move from one town to the next town, and then when we replace them, we incur a significant cost for uniforms and different things that they need for them. Like, I believe with the police department, a vest that somebody leaving isn't going to fit the next guy that comes in, and I want to say they're up near $1,200 now just for the vest. So and that's just like the one example that comes into mind for me, but it's a significant cost when you have turnover, especially in those two departments. So we're competing, all these beach towns are competing with each other for salaries. Not sure when that's going to stop, but that is one of the reasons for the salaries. And there's across the state, there's a lack of town managers. There's a lack of finance directors. I want to say 60% of towns are struggling to find a manager. There's like 50% of the towns do not have a finance director. Like the classes I'm going to, government employees are getting less and less and less with less and less experience, which is happening, I think, in a lot of industries. But I do go to a lot of these classes, and it's a concern that's out there. So we try to keep our salaries in line with our neighboring towns. They just keep going up on us.
Well, it's true. We're going to lose. The problem is happening with the fire department.
I think we lost 3 employees.
We lost
due
3
to that.
employees. We have fallen behind the people who are the communities around us, and thus we're losing firefighters now.
And one of the things with the fire department, I do believe, is that our staffing, our training, and things like that affects our insurance rate. So it affects, if we don't have our fire department up to the standard it needs to be, people start paying higher rates for their insurance. We just achieved a new level, I think, last year, due to the fire department, with their training and their staffing being at the level that they needed to be at, which should have increased people's insurance or decreased their insurance rates.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. But that to me, that's very important, because we've got some great people working here. We'd love to keep them. So, thank you.
Anyone else got anything?
Tara, thank you for putting
The
this
5.
together.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
Wait before you leave.
I don't think that in the past that we had really explained things the way that you've explained it. And that leads to a lot of people assuming that, oh, we've got all this money and we're sticking it in our pocket. And the fact that we can explain what's happening to it, why it's there, why we're doing what we're doing, that's very important, I think. So thank you for that.
What I was going to say is I hope that the 5 councilmen who are the voting party for our town listen diligently to what she just said about commercial being very important and how much the tax base was difference, because that's something that we're going to be facing here in the future. We're going to have some commercial to handle these people, so you need to take that into consideration
And
as we go forward.
I'd like to stress that not only the members of the council, but our citizens need to realize that we have very adamant citizens who do not want any commercial businesses in our town, or not any, but would like to limit it. And if we limit commercial businesses in our town, that is one of the pitfalls of doing so.
Yeah, eventually it's going to lead to taxes going up. We've got to
And
have
likewise,
tax resources.
when you talk about other businesses, not other businesses, but other beaches, their houses are larger. They can rent them out to more people. They can charge more, and all that goes through their tax base. We have certain things in place in Sunset Beach that somewhat inhibit our ability to take in revenue.
Sure.
I think we all
Good
actively
point.
look to bring business to the town. We want the people here and our visitors to eat here in Sunset Beach, not go to Calabash or North Myrtle. I thought when we changed some of the old-fashioned rules about commercial development that were put in place by a council that didn't want anybody to come to Sunset Beach. I think things should happen overnight, and they don't. I thought we'd see a lot more business, and it takes a lot for a business to move here. So it is important. And we have all these people around us, or going to be around us. We want them to come here and spend their money.
That's why we got to encourage businesses to come.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I think I'd like to thank Tara for putting this all together. And I think we've all kind of expressed our viewpoints on this. Can we at some point move on to the public hearing of this public hearing?
Thank you.
Let's go.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
Anyone want to come up on the public hearing on the proposed financial year 2023 budget? If you do, come on up, sir. Come on.
Come on up.
Yeah. Just come up, state your name and your address, please. Just, that's the way,
Wait till you get to the mic, please.
so we can hear you. So they can hear you.
My
They-
name is
they
Rex
all-
Ferguson. I live on 30th Street on the island,
What's your address, sir? It's-
419 30th Street.
Thank you.
And we've been vacationing here for 40 years. I bought property and finally built a house. So we're here all the time. Finally retired, so that's a good thing.
Welcome.
Thanks. I really had a couple questions from the presentation because I heard some things that I wanted to clarify. John, you brought up that the tax rate would be 68% goes to the county, 32% goes to Sunset. Is that 68%? And that's not going to change from year to year? Is that rate cast by the county and ready to go? I mean, is it solid?
You need a mic.
Thanks. You can stand with me.
Terry, you want this?
Your turn. Yeah, just take-
So if you look at your tax bill, on there, there's a Sunset Beach tax, there's a county tax, and then there's a fire fee. So if you remove the fire fee from that,
Right.
it's 68% of your taxes go to the county, and the 32% of it goes to the town. So there's three different things that you see on your tax bill.
Okay.
It doesn't that whole tax bill does not come to Sunset Beach, is basically what the breakdown is saying on the presentation.
Okay. Has it been publicized that the county is going to be at that 68% level, which means it's not going to change much at all?
So they have their tax rate and they haven't set their tax rate yet. They'll go through the same process that we're going through right now.
Okay.
It looks like it'll be 34.25 cents, where we're at 16 cents
They had
per
their-
$100 valuation.
May I clarify? If the county changes the tax, that ratio changes. If we change our tax. Previously, it was 0.48 for the county and 0.16 for us. So last year, it was 75% for the county and 25% for us in terms of the taxes. So that depends on what the county rates are, what the rates are that we have. We've been at 0.16 for about 7 out of the last 8 years, or 8 out of the last 9 years, something like that.
The county had their hearing today on their budget. They didn't vote on their budget. They voted another time. A couple of weeks they're going to vote on it, but they had their hearing today.
Okay.
You can see it broken down on your tax bill too.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's as a resident, it's total dollars. So that's what I was trying to understand because of the effect of it has. The other thing I was going to ask you is on the presentation, you use an example about the island. And I got to tell you, that's an exception. Big time. You ought to put one that shows the other way. People,
So I had 2 from the island and 2 from the mainland on
they
there.
didn't have any sitting at 70 or 80% increase. And there are plenty
I
of
just
them.
picked random ones that I had gone through the town, and they were at different rate changes. And I mean, if you want to see what the effect is on yours, I can help. You can email me. I can
No, my
calculate. for you,
point is
or-
you're showing stuff that I from the island standpoint is not real. Not from everyone that I've talked to. So the small, yeah, a small house. Yep. But that's about what It's probably lower than the average even on the island. But that's a good example, and it does show that, hey, if you applied it to $1 million home, it's going to show you, because that other $1 million one, I don't know what that is, but that means the rating was way off the first time or something like that. That's not what we have seen in the last 5 years. So, okay, I just wanted to get that clarified.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Mayor, members of the town council. My name's Mark Kramer. I'm a resident of Sunset Beach. I live at 902 North Shore Drive West with my wife. We've been coming to the beach since 1987, have owned a home since 2011, and have lived here full time since 2019. I am vice president of the Sunset Beach Taxpayers Association. Y'all received and have referenced a number of times a communication that came from Ken Seckley, our president, regarding the proposed tax increase. I'm not going to read that to you. You've all received it, but I do want to hit a couple of points on it. And we understand that each individual's tax rate is based on their individual property, about how much their rate is going to go up. Understand that clearly, how much their tax bill will go up. I find it interesting that the county doing close to revenue neutral, not quite, but close to revenue neutral, is a rationale as to why we can go up the degree that we're going up. What we're concerned about is the town of Sunset Beach taxes. Now, your budget shows an increase of $1,570,000 in 1 year in real property tax revenues, an increase of that amount. That amount is an increase of 57% from what was collected last year on all the properties in Sunset Beach. That's the 57% number. It's not on individual properties. Some individual properties will have that, some will have more, some will have less. That's the total. We would urge you to sharpen your pencil some, work on that 16 cents number some. As was referenced, Brunswick County is reducing their tax rate from 48.5 cents to 34.25. The other three towns, Ocean Isle is reducing their rate from 16.3 cents to 10.89 cents. Holden Beach is planning to reduce their rate from 20 cents to 12 or 14 cents.
About 30 seconds, sir. Got about 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. If you go through with this budget, Sunset Beach will go from the lowest tax rate among the four towns on the beaches to the highest rate in 1 year. Boom. This is no doubt, and I've looked at 10 years worth of budgets, the largest tax increase in terms of total additional property tax revenue in 1 year in the history of the town. And it's the highest percentage increase in revenue in 1 year in the history of the town, as far as I can tell. I looked over 10 years of budget, and the numbers get so small when you go back 10 years, it has to be the highest. Absent a catastrophe and emergency, that kind of increase seems unwarranted. We would ask you to take a sharp pencil and look at, there were a lot of statements made about expenses and things that are good to do, and that we would support a number of them. But I would close with just a quote from President Ronald Reagan, who had a lot to say about taxes, as y'all may remember. One of his best known quotes, which seems appropriate here, is that the problem is not that people are taxed too little. The problem is the government just spends too much. So we would urge you to take a look at that rate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Mary Cross. You all got my email, I'm sure. I live at
Can you?
Mary
Can you
Cross.
Sandpiper Bay, 7612 Dunbar Drive.
Thank you.
First, I would like to thank Tara for responding to my email. Thank you very much. But I have a few questions. We started out with a comparison of those beach properties that didn't go up by much and other properties went up by a lot. How many tax parcels are there in Sunset Beach? Does anybody
Get
know?
an answer for that, Tara?
The exact number?
There's over 6,000.
Well, then my second question is, how many of those 6,000 parcels went up as opposed to down? Does anybody know that number? Probably
That'd be
not.
something she'd have to pull. That ain't something she's on top of, I'm sure.
My next question was, again, what he said about the parcel, the example, the house on the island that went from $1.2 million or something, $1.023 million to $1 million and something, hardly went up at all. Was that house built yesterday, or was it built before the last reassessment 4 years ago? Because that would be a huge difference. If it was just assessed this year, the assessment isn't going to change much. But if it was assessed 5 years ago, it probably didn't start out at $1 million, if you understand what I'm talking about. So I'm having a problem with the examples. In Sandpiper Bay, my tax is going up by 56%. And I can pretty much tell you all that all of the homes in Sandpiper Bay are going up by 56%. I no question in my mind. And as I put in my email to all of you, thoughtful process. You went through this thoughtful process, and I can understand that the police department needs more funding, the fire department needs more funding. I totally understand that. But it's like windfall profits. Did you even look at something that was less than 16 cents? Did you even consider 12 cents? I have no problem with a small tax increase. I have a problem with you just totally ignoring revenue neutral. And I have a major problem with the fact that nobody seems to care about the impact of the people that are paying these taxes. Did anybody think about that? I mean, maybe there's people that live in the beach for whom money is no problem. But there's a lot of old retired people here on fixed incomes, and a 56% increase in our property taxes is not just pennies. 4 years ago, when a reassessment was done, our property assessment went up by like $20,000. My tax bill went up by $20 because the tax rate change stays the same as 15 cents. And I said, well, that's okay. But this time around, we're talking major dollars here. And as I put in my email, I'll shut up in a minute. As I put in my email, 4 years from now, if all of our property assessments go down, I can't believe they're going to be this inflated forever. If they go down, then do we get another 50% tax increase to keep the budget where it is now? It's like you really need to go back and try to find something that's less than 16 cents. Thank you.
Anyone else? You'll have, sir, you spoke one time. That's the way they roll it, but you can come back and speak at a regular public comment. You're welcome. I was talking to the guy back there. They only allow one at a time, one during a session, okay?
My name is Jerry Green. I live in Sandpiper Bay, 651 Sandpiper Bay Drive. I have just two questions or one comment. My county taxes are still going to go up. They're going to go up like 10%. So John's comment about mitigating is not true. The county is not mitigating. They're just keeping it from going really high. Second comment, you're taking $1.7 million out of the general fund to put it in the dredging fund. Anytime you say dredging, I have heartburn. And so what you're doing basically, because you're going to replace that, you're raising my taxes to raise $1.7 million to put it into the general fund that you're going to get back. So 3 years from now, if in fact those people pay back the $1.7 million, you're going to have $3.4 million because you're going to make me pay 1.7 now, and then you're going to collect 1.7 from the people on the island. Take that 1.7 and don't replace it right now. Maybe replace a little bit of it, but you're doubling up on us $1.7 million. Aren't you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Aye. Not? Do I have a motion to close this first public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to public hearing, Article 1, Section 112H. Chad?
How did y'all get lucky to do 2 of these in one night and schedule another one for next month? A joke. I promise. So this is a text amendment to Article 1. At the advice of InFocus, who is our consultant that we do all of our code enforcement with, recommended that we add in a fee, specifically other than $50 that's laid out in the North Carolina General Statute, down to $100 fine that we currently do not have on the books right now for InFocus to carry out their duties to be able to find people and get stuff levied as far as code enforcement. That's where this text amendment is coming to you from tonight. It's a public hearing to act on a text amendment that the planning board has already recommended approval to y'all. I do have updated in your staff report. You have text and a whereas statement as to what the planning board passed. Staff took a look at it at the recommendation of council to schedule the public hearing to fix the language where there's no repetitiveness. So I am going to pass out. It's not going to look much different. The only thing you'll see is that if you look in your packet, number 3 will be crossed out, which would be the repetitive language. And then the new additional language will move up to 2. 4 will move to 3 and 5 will move to 4. So I'm going to pass this out to you right now.
But for today, all we're doing is approving a public hearing.
Not on this one.
No?
No. Chad, what does InFocus have to charge this fee, this penalty for? Types of things that they see, types of things that they do
Sure.
that cause this
Sure.
$100?
So, for example, we have a mobile home that was put on a lot 2 years ago. We contracted out with InFocus to do those type of code enforcement strategies. InFocus has gotten to the point where they have sent letters to them for about 3 to 6 months and gotten to the point where we're ready to lien on the property with fines for $100 a day per violation. And when we got to that point, it was brought up to Carrie and I that we could not do it because it's not in our UDO and fee schedule. So we're simply adding that value in there to give InFocus the ability to carry out their job and to get stuff done. I will say this from a code enforcement experience that I've had in the past jobs that I've had with planning services and around this county and Pender County. When you get to the point where you're leveling fines and liening properties for code enforcement, it is because you've gotten no response from the people, or they just are ignoring you, or the fact that they just refuse to do it altogether. So the fact that InFocus is even to this degree, I've seen that very few and far between. I'm sure if I brought Lee Hall up here, he might say the same thing. Normally, you do not get into code enforcement to make money off of people. You get to clean up the process. When you get to this point where you're fining people, it's gotten to the point of past no return. Now, what we charge InFocus or what they charge us, I'm not sure. Lisa would probably have to touch on that, or Carrie. But this is all we're doing is equipping them to be able to carry out their job. And Mr. Corbett, this is a public hearing for that text amendment. It's already gone past the planning board.
Yeah.
We scheduled
That's
that.
what I asked.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
So
So all we're voting, this is the public hearing?
This is the public hearing.
Okay. Sorry, my mistake there.
And then the text amendment we'll schedule later on tonight that I'll be more detail in. That's the one we're scheduling for July.
Any member of the public here would like to speak on this matter? All right.
Is that
There's
it?
nobody here? Nobody wants to speak? Then do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chad.
We, I have a question. About time this had some real teeth, and we can't pass this tonight?
That comes up here.
Come up later.
Okay,
This was the
I thought
public
he
hearing
said
before it comes
July.
up. No, no.
okay. I'm good.
All right, moving on now to the public comments on agenda items only. Would anybody like to speak at public comments on any item on the agenda? Anybody like to speak? Sir, if you want to speak again, it was on the agenda, so you're more than welcome to come back now. It was just a different section.
Yes, learn something tonight.
Yes, sir. Like I said, please state your name and address again, just for the record.
It's Rex
Like I said, I'll
Ferguson.
set 3 minutes at 30 seconds. I'll give you that so we can stay on course.
Okay. My name is Rex Ferguson. I'm at 419 30th Street and been living in the house now for 6 years, 5 years.
Yes, sir.
I just heard an interesting option for you guys to consider. You've been asked to look at the tax rate. Well, if you look at, I don't know how you're putting your revenue together, if there's, but you have an influx of people coming for the tax year and even a greater number next year. If I was looking at trying to add a big chunk to the budget, you're going to have increased revenues coming in, and it's not very far along, not very far in the future. To me, that's the time where you can get and look at, hey, adding 250,000 or $500,000 or whatever, because you're going to have increases coming on the revenue side. Just a thought for you, but from a planning standpoint, all you have to do is take a look at what's around you, and you can estimate fairly quickly how many homes are going to be in place and what the average income is going to be and what the average tax is going to be. And it'll show you what that income looks like. That might be an option for you and would allow you to not take as much tax or give us a lower tax rate than what you're looking at this year.
Sir, one thing you have to remember, when you're driving around here, if you're going on Georgetown Road, if you're going towards Calabash from here on 179, those houses are in the county.
No, I understand that.
We don't get a penny from them.
You're getting, there's a few developments that are in Sunset Beach.
Yes, there are.
Yes, there are.
Some of the biggest ones, like they're across from the post office. I think there's only 12 of those houses in Sunset Beach. They're going to be 300 and some.
Sure. And that's going to take a 5-year period. You can, you can look at what's been done and you can look at how fast it'll come on board. And it's like the Lennar development. Well, there was nothing there 3 weeks ago. And now there are 15 houses going up. So it is significant and it is real. I'm just saying, hey, might be an option for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else on public comments on agenda items only? If not, we'll move on. Consent agenda, May 1st, 2023, first regular meeting minutes. Building Inspections Department, April 2023 report. Public Works Stormwater Department, April 2023 report. Fire Department, April 2023 report. Finance Department, April 2023 report. Planning Department, April 2023 report. And the Police Department, April 2023 report. Does any member of council have any questions in regards to any of these items? Go ahead, John.
I have a question for the Building Inspection Department, and this kind of ties into In Focus. I'm getting lots and lots of questions from the community is what's going on with that house at 1418 Inlet that got damaged at Ian as part of the roof?
Yes, sir.
Messed up?
It's under, they have it in focus, and they're holding a hearing and going through the process of having it demolished. Right now, we got a verbal agreement with the owners and In Focus that they were going to take it down, demolish it themselves. So as far as I don't know exactly the timeline, but it is sometime within the next 90 days. They have a hearing scheduled.
A hearing scheduled within 90 days, and then they get time after that.
Then they'll have, yes, sir.
Okay.
And then unless they appeal it and bring it before council.
Okay.
So that'll be the process. If they decide they're going to appeal it completely, then it'll come before you all after all the other meetings have been conducted, and then we'll have to take it to that next level.
It just seems like a very long process for a house that got
Yes, sir.
damaged seriously in Hurricane Ian.
It could take as long as a year for demolition.
Okay.
I reported was it in this two demolitions? Was it in this particular or last? I was looking. No, 213 Dogwood and 410 Bayberry. They cooperated with Infocus, and so we're able to. Two I reported on that.
Yeah,
that was clean. Properties were cleaned up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other of the council got any questions for any of the departments?
Nope. No, nothing from me.
If not, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any member that's here, you're welcome. Any member of staff that doesn't have anything else is welcome to leave. Town administrator reports next. That's you, Miss Anglin.
Thanks, Mayor. Councilman Hargraves stole my thunder, congratulating Chief Childress on an awesome community meeting that he orchestrated and moderated. And if you missed it, it is on YouTube, so you can go there and check it out. We have 2 vacancies. One is on the Environmental Resource Committee and one is on the Board of Adjustment. If you're interested in serving on the committee or the board, if you'll contact Katie, she'll tell you what you need to do. Dredging. The good news on the dredging, if that's possible, the shallow draft fund has been amended their cost sharing amounts. Basically, the state has found more money to give away than they had when we started this project. Currently, our state shared fund is 67% and the town shared is 33%. The shallow draft fund, we're applying for a new grant that will increase the state share to 75% and decrease the town share to 25%. And that will be able to, those percentages will be able to take effect for our remaining dredging project, which includes the Finger Channels, Mary's Creek, and Turtles Creek in the fall when they come back in October to start dredging. Those will be the percentages. Hopefully, the state has told us we won't have any problems getting the grant redone so that we can take advantage of these percentages. So I'll keep you updated on as that process goes through the state. I'd like to say thank you to James Allison, who's with Carolina Coastal Adventure Tours and Waterway Cleanup Day. They assisted the town with removing some trash and debris from the canals and along the marshlands. So we appreciate those volunteers coming out and doing that for us. So let's see. The only other thing that I have, and if you'll bear with me, at 6 o'clock on this Wednesday, June 7th, the first concert will be held for the summer Soundwave concerts for the year. This week, the performers are the Entertainers, which have been a great band for us in the past. Concerts now will be held at the Town Park, 206 Sunset Boulevard North. In the concerts in the past, we've had a lot that have attended via golf carts. Those golf carts are still allowed on the roadways in that area, but they are not allowed inside the town park at all. You'll be able to park in various places, but nothing motorized other than wheelchairs are able to go past the rope into the town park. So just keep that in mind as we're coming up on these. And just like all the other special events that happen at the town park, we contact all the business owners regarding their parking and if they'll allow us to use those. And I'm going to read to you all what the parking availabilities is at and near the town park. And Norma will have this in the morning, and we'll get this on the website as soon as we can. Dustin promises me that at some point in life we'll have a map that'll actually show this. But for right now, all I've got for you is the words. So public parking is available in the town public right-of-ways. Those right-of-ways are along Shoreline Drive East and West. Also, public parking is allowed on North Carolina Department of Transportation roadways in the right-of-way. Right-of-way is basically between Brunswick County or Brunswick Utilities boxes. They're normally green, and the asphalt. Anything between those two areas is public right-of-way, and you are allowed to park there. You just can't go past the green box because then you're on somebody's private property, and you can't go out in the roadway because then you're impeding traffic flow. So those are the public right-of-way areas: Shoreline Drive East, Shoreline Drive West, and then Sunset Boulevard North. That means across from Dollar General, Century 21, Coastal Outfitters. That right-of-way leading into the roundabout is available right-of-way parking. In addition to the right-of-way parking, the additional parking is along the rope fence as you are between the exit of the park and Mary's Creek or Bill's Seafood. You can park, help me stay in perpendicular, catty-cornered. Yeah, parallel or angle parking is allowed in any of these places. You're also allowed to park in the designated area where the asphalt has the markings on it in between Dave's and the actual park. There's 13 spaces there, and we have bought temporary handicap placards that we'll be putting up to make additional handicap parking in that area and potentially in the actual parking lot itself. Also, we partnered with DOT to allow us to set up the area that is under the bridge beside Fire Station 1 as parking. The only caveat is that it has to be manned by staff. So there'll be a staff person there to let you into the parking lot and show you where you're able to park and how to park so that we can maximize the numbers in that lot. And I want to say it's 40 spaces there. Okay. So in addition, I said in the beginning that we also went to the private property owners, the business owners that are in that area. And the following businesses have granted permission to use some or all of their parking in their private lots. And we respectfully ask that you, if you park in one of these private lots, that you do cater to what their requests are. And they are as follows. The Old Bridge Historical Society, we have full access to their parking area. Island Breeze, we have parking, will be allowed in the overflow lot that is west of the main lot. So if you're coming into the Island Breeze Shopping Center, that first area that you're coming into, you cannot park there. You can turn to the right and park in those lots. That is the same thing for the Bridge Grill. You cannot park in their main lot, but the grassy area toward the bridge, they are allowing us to park there. Dollar General, you're allowed to park in the lot that is closest to Station Trail, which is basically on the side of the Dollar General building. And Century 21, they're allowing us to park in the lots. The first one is the closest to Station Trail, And then their second lot is a few spaces behind the rear of the building that they're allowing us to use. These following businesses requested no parking in their lots. And we sincerely ask that you please be mindful and not park in any of these parking areas. Dave's Outpost and the vacant lot beside it, that is on the corner of Sunset Boulevard North and Canal. There's no parking there. Boat Landing Restaurant, Mavericks Java, Krabby Oddwaters, and Coastal Outfitters. So we please ask you to please not to park in any of these business parking lots where they've requested that their parking lots be vacant. We will also have parking attendants that will be on site in these locations, in addition to helping with traffic. So they'll be able to point you in the right directions for parking and getting into the town park and just coming and enjoying the concert season with us. So as I said, that is all the parking that is available. I'll have this right up for Norma in the morning. I'll post it to the website. And Dustin promises me that I'll have a map sooner than later that I'll be able to post, and then it'll make it a little easier for everybody to see where it is. And then Memorial Day, John stole all that with thanking the town staff for everything that we did. It was a very well organized event, thanks to Committee to Honor America's Veterans and town staff. And then the last thing I have, this doesn't have anything to do with any of these events. It was planned for the Earth Day event that had to be canceled due to weather. But we have been very blessed in the town park that Sunset Vision, which is another nonprofit group inside town limits, donated a water bottle filling station for the town park, and that is located right outside of the restroom building. They have also donated a second water bottle filling station that also has 2 fountains, one that is ADA compliant, and it also has a pet water fountain on the ground. And that is located down near the Vets Memorial and the 9/11. So if you see somebody from Sunset Vision, tell them thank you so much for assisting the town with our amenities in the park. We really appreciate all that Sunset Vision does for the town. And I'll answer any questions.
Anybody got any questions for the administrator?
Not for me.
Not me.
Good report. All right, thank you. Moving on next to the planning board UDO rewrite activity report. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
This is not good news here.
Thank you. That means this is all done, right?
Thought we weren't getting one, John.
I was hoping.
Just the whole thing?
So before you have the draft UDO articles, the new articles 1 through 7, that the same exact draft that the planning board has as we state right now. In July, the planning board will go through, try to go through all of it once again before it comes to you. So this is some homework for you. I know you're going to have questions. I do not expect you to go through all of it in a couple months, but as I've promised to you for some time now, this is the new formatted draft UDO that you have before you. Planning board will still continue to do some work on it. Staffing will still continue to do work on it. There might be, hopefully there's probably in the next 3 months, 2 to 3 months, I will be updating that language again completely for you. It should not change that much. The format definitely will not change. So just a couple highlights on it. All new black underline, all black underlined text in this is new language. All lined through language is language we are removing. And then all red lined, underlined language is language that existed in the current UDO that we are modifying to fit the current and the new UDO as well. So keep that in mind as you work through it. What I will have for you in the next coming months is we'll be explaining, Wes and I will be explaining to you where this language came from and how it got put into new articles. Articles 1 and 2 are going to guide you through the rest of it. Article 3 will be your biggest one because it covers everything zoning and under the sun. But as promised, it's in notebooks. You have it all for your reading and sleeping pleasure. And yeah, I'll answer any questions y'all might have.
None now.
Anybody have anything for him? No. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
Moving on to old business, budget amendment number 7. Tara, you have the floor, please. Thanks, Chad.
So this budget amendment looks significant, but it's actually not. We have the Governmental Accounting Standards Board is what kind of oversees all of the accounting standards and what our financial statements look like when we go through the audit every year. There is a new standard that got implemented for the 22-23 fiscal year. And it is for capitalizing all software agreements. So last year we did leases and we had to capitalize anything that was on a lease. Fortunately, in Sunset Beach, we do not have a lot of equipment or vehicles. We try not to lease things. It can be costly and time consuming, and we try not to do that. So it didn't have a significant effect on us last year. This year, that same standard is in GASB 96, and it is for software agreements. So this is going to hit any software that like my finance software. The police department uses quite a few different softwares. Some of them are required to communicate with the county. The planning department, public works, we all have specific softwares that help us to do our job. The problem with what GASB has required of us is to go out what we believe is a reasonable time frame in the future. So I have had many conversations with our auditor, and with changing technologies, we think that 5 years is a good number for us to capitalize at this time. So we're going out 5 years to capitalize in this year. Now, this does not have any effect on cash. It doesn't have any effect on fund balance. It is getting put into basically an other financing source. And then it's going to hit our capital expenditure lines. So it looks like it changes the budget, but it is required for us to do that. It's basically going to be like a balance sheet, net position type things. It's not going to affect our fund balance, and it is not going to affect our cash. It's just a requirement for reporting purposes. And like I said, I have talked to our auditor. He and I have been both attending classes trying to do this the best way, the right way that we know how. There are a couple things in there that are changes. They do not affect fund balance because we had other revenues that we were able to pull from. So police fines had increased. Which is going to cover additional fuel costs that we have this year. So our fuel lines, are the gas and oil expenditure lines, we have exceeded those in this fiscal year. And then the other piece of this is for the attorney fees. We have to adjust our attorney fees. Are there any specific questions about this budget amendment?
Under revenue, you got other financing sources, $590,000.
That's what I was talking about with GASB.
Oh, okay.
So the that way it's when you do a lease on something, so you're basically getting the revenue. It's like a loan proceeds type thing, except that's not what a software agreement is. You don't have an upfront cost like that, but it's another financing source. So it's not hitting your bottom line. We just have to get it into our depreciation schedule, into our capital assets. So that I know.
I'm glad you're doing this.
It has been a challenge for us to try to figure out how to implement this. So I'm probably not doing the best job I can to explain it to you as well. Like I said, we have had many conversations with the auditor. So, but it really is not going to affect the bottom line.
Any more questions?
All right.
No, what's the pleasure of council in regards to this budget amendment?
I have a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve the attached budget amendment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on next. Adoption of the fiscal year 2023 or 2023-24 budget ordinance tax rate fee schedule. Ms. Terry, you got this one again.
So I'll go over the summary. Council has held a series of budget workshops that started on February 6th. The council has reviewed and met with each department head. We've discussed specific department needs. The council, we had reached a consensus for a proposed balanced budget totaling $10,025,220. This does not include any appropriations from our fund balance. It does include a tax rate of 16 cents per $100 valuation. I have the budget amendment, or the budget message is attached in the packet. It's also on our website, and it's available in the lobby at Town Hall. I have in this, there's a detailed explanation, an overview of the proposed budget. This is where you can find what the revenue neutral tax rate is, which is due to the reappraisal that was done in the beginning of 2023. The revenue neutral tax rate is 10.34 cents per $100 valuation. This also has the updated fee schedule attached. There are, I believe, just one section of changes highlighted in red lettering. Are there any questions, further questions with the 23-24 budget?
I got my questions answered in the discussion with the public hearing.
Yeah, I think we discussed this in detail earlier. I don't have any further questions.
All right, if so, what's the pleasure of council in regards to this budget?
I have a motion. I move that we adopt the fiscal year 23-24 budget, establish the 23-24 tax rate at 16 cents per $100 of valuation, and approve the updated fee schedule.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Want to have anything?
No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work, Tara.
Moving on next, ERC 2023 first and second quarterly reports. Think everybody's looked over this? Y'all have any questions?
Mr. Mayor, this isn't going to be taken up. This isn't going to be taken up until July 10th, right?
Do what now?
This isn't going to be discussed until July 10th. Am I right?
It's on the.
This is just the report here that they give you that y'all wanted. This is what this is. That's what I say. Is there any questions on anything? Not. If not, then we'll move on.
Well, I'd just like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Is request that the council members take a look at this and think clearly, carefully about what it is that we want the ERC to be doing, so that we can be giving them pretty much guidance on what they do each quarter, what we think of the priorities for their work. And then when we come back on July 10th, we'll focus in on that.
Anyone else got anything? If not, we'll move on. On to the ordinance amendment, Article 1, Section 112H. Chad done left.
No,
Oh, you back? I thought you left. I seen you gather your box and run.
He's so quiet over there.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Decided to throw away the box. As I went through a lot of this in the public comment or public hearing part of this, I'll answer any questions you might have on this. And ultimately, again, this is past the planning board stage. We've scheduled the public hearing for tonight to you have the ability to make a decision on this, either to deny it, table it, accept it, or send it back to the planning board for additional work, or change it.
Any member of council got any questions?
I don't.
Good. I got what you need to know.
Nope. Yep.
All right. What's the pleasure of council?
I'll make a motion
You
that
wanna
we
make a motion?
approve
Okay, go ahead.
the UD ordinance amendment, Article 1, Section 1.12H.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion in regards to this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next, moving on to new business, American Flood Coalition Resolution. Ms. England?
Thanks, Mayor. This is an organization that a lot of Brunswick County beach towns have became a member of because we are so concerned with flooding and sea level rise and resiliency. And this organization would be able to offer us some assistance doing that. There is no cost for the town to join this. I just need the resolution that's in your packet approved.
Any
If you want
questions
to
from
join.
council? Not what's the pleasure of council in regards to this item?
I looked through it and could not find a downside other than perhaps it does provide us a vehicle to join in with other towns, other groups to help push forward activities that hopefully would in the future help us against flood prevention and sea level rise and that type of thing. So I think it's a good idea to join.
That mean you're gonna make a motion?
Any other discussion?
We're-
I make a motion that we accept this, we adopt this American Flood Coalition resolution.
Do I have a second? Do I have any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is our task order catchment 7 drainage system. Mr. Matt, you got the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So the task order in front of you is for catchment 7 drainage system. It runs between 4th, 5th, and 6th Streets on the island. Currently, it runs in between houses, and it is it's failing. There's old metal pipe in the ground now, sinkholes everywhere. It's hard for us to even clean out, let alone inspect it with our camera system. So what we're proposing is to reroute everything to Main Street, East Main Street, down along 4th, 5th, and 6th, like I said. And it's actually part of our capital improvement plan now. So that would be another project off the list. But what we're asking is that you guys approve the task order in order for us to move forward.
Remember, council got any questions in regards to this? I think you all read everything in here.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
We had done work on these streets before, right?
Not since I've been here. No, sir.
What was the work that was done on North Shore Drive East?
North Shore Drive East on 3rd. Yes.
3rd.
Yes. That was also another project on the list. Completely different project.
Not a part of this.
But that has been redone.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
sir. Okay. Yes, sir. And also, I believe we tried to get into this a little bit last year or the year before about paving. We got a quote for paving. It was astronomical. But this stormwater work needs to be done obviously prior to paving. We have a petition for 4th Street already, working on 5th Street. So obviously stormwater needs to be done before we do that, any asphalt.
And this task is to do the survey and engineering work ahead of time, and with that, we'll then go for request for a proposal or something that you get to go out for contract.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they'll do all the work, the legwork for the DOT, because we're going to be in there right away as well. So they'll be able to put the engineering plans out, like you said, the survey work, cores, all that. The job.
Did you have a sense of what this project's going to cost?
With the way prices are right now, I can't give you an accurate answer.
The original plan had this
It's gonna be more than the original plan, I would assume.
Okay. Thank you.
And this is going to be done by a private company, not our people. It's going to be done by a private company.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Contractor.
Okay. Lisa, where does the funds come from now to pay for the McGill and so on?
Stormwater has its own budget.
Yes. Okay. Good.
And there's funds in there.
Yes. What's the pleasure of council?
I make a motion that we approve task order 18 catchment 7 drainage system.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Sir.
Matt.
Thank you, man.
Next, roadway dedication requests, Brookwood Park Court and Gully Court. This is on you, Mr. Dustin. Thanks, Matt.
Sea Trail Master Association has contacted us to want to dedicate these two roads over to the town. Like I said, Brookwood Park Court and Gully Court. They are located off of Crooked Gully next to Planters Ridge on the backside of the Sea Trail is where these two roads are located. We will only be taking asphalt or basically the right of way, but when it comes to stormwater, no stormwater, the stormwater permit will stay with the permit, whoever holds the permit. The stormwater will stay with them. So the ditches, swells, any pipes like that runs through there, it belongs to the holder of the stormwater permit.
Is that Riptide?
It could be, or it could be the Master Association. It's one of the two. But we will use some of the same language that we used the last time that we dedicated, or they dedicated roads over to us back in 2018.
Now, as you've reviewed the core samples, everything's good according to
Yeah,
NCDOT, our standards, everything's great.
Yeah, our standards are even better than what DOT's.
Okay.
And yes, they do meet our standards.
Excellent. That's very good.
Was there work done to these roads before
Yeah,
they asked for us to
Yep.
take them over?
They just repaved them and redone them all, both of them.
Okay. So it's up to our standards then?
Yes.
Okay.
And our normal practice is when a roads inside our community are brought up to our standards, we will take them over.
Yes. Well, it's up to the council if you want to take them over or not.
This will
Even though
increase
you-
our PAL bill
Yeah.
funding by adding these roads.
Yes.
I mean, not a whole lot.
Yeah. A couple blocks.
Couple. Yes.
All right, what's the pleasure of council in regards to these?
I'll make a motion to approve the ownership transfer, Brookwood Park Court and Gully Court from Sea Trail Master Association to the town.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is
Thanks,
consider public hearing Article 11, Section 11.9, and Section 11.9.2. Mr. Chad, again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a text amendment to schedule a public hearing for July the 10th. Is that right, Ms. Anglin?
Yes.
I knew we had one of those coming.
You got it.
So before you, I need to have a confession with y'all before we go into this. There was a lot of confusion with this one, a lot of misinformation that I didn't take into consideration when I put this staff report together, and not to mention the text. It was brought up to me by our chairman, Mr. Larkin, that I needed to retake a look at this, and I missed the boat by a lot. So let me give you these updated text and staff reports. Again, we are only scheduling the public hearing, but I'll go into detail a little bit with it as well.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So this is a text amendment that was brought on to us by Anchor Signs Incorporated. This is a text amendment to change the size and limitations of allowing more signage and increasing our limitations with wall signs when it comes to commercial entities or non-residential entities. They are submitting this on behalf of Dollar Tree. It is a text amendment to propose change sign regulations in Article 11, Article 11 sign regulations. Instead of it being Section 11.9 and 11.92 or 11.42, or yes, it is just 11.94, if I'm correct. Excuse me, 11.92 wall signs. So all that language in your previous text amendment that was in your agenda packet, you can really ignore that. I need to bring to your attention that I will be making a few changes on this as we look to adopt this in July. And I want to bring one thing to your attention is that as the text amendment that we're changing, we're adding F into 11.92 for allowance of the wall signs. And it states for non-residential structures in the MB1 zoning district only that involve single store measuring greater than 25,000 square foot of a four footprint area, that a wall sign, including glazed area for buildings with a front setback from a roadway greater than 250 feet. So therefore your setback has to be greater from that front setback back to the building, 250 feet or greater. That a wall sign shall be allowed to be 1.5 square feet per 1 linear foot of the store frontage, and with a maximum up to 200 square feet. Now, if you go back to page 2 of the packet I just gave you, down at the bottom of page 2, right up under 11.92 wall signs, you'll see in that first paragraph where it says that wall signs including glazed area shall be limited to 1 square foot per 2 linear feet. That's one of the things that staff will be changing and bringing up to speed with y'all. When planning board adopted the overall text amendment, that was one of the things I missed when it comes to this. And the reason why that is important is because when you look back at Article 1, when you have conflicting ordinances, the more restrictive applies. So we don't want to have 2 conflicting ordinances there. So all we're doing is scheduling this for July. It passed the planning board earlier in May unanimously to come before you. Staff will work with additional staff to clean this up. But 99.9% of what the applicant is bringing to you is in this text amendment. And in July, the applicant will be here to address any questions you might have as well.
And this is on an empty existing building we have right now.
That is correct. That is correct.
Dollar Tree is requesting this?
So Dollar Tree and Family Dollar are merging. Their Family Dollar is going to the new one. And they're asking for a bigger wall sign.
So that's what this is really about.
That is
bigger,
exactly.
They want a bigger sign.
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, so this will apply going forward to any other business with the same.
With the caveat of 2 things. One, you have to have a footprint area greater than 25,000 square feet.
And 250 feet.
And then you have to be more than 250 feet or more back from the front property line.
Okay.
And the key part that it's 1.5 square feet of wall sign face area per 1 linear foot.
That's correct. So that's changing from 1.5 to 1 for where it's 2 to 1 right now, where we are capped at 100 square feet right now, and they're asking for a cap of 200 square feet.
This is the old
food line. That's correct. Yeah, and
where Sarah's Kitchen is.
Yeah, it's in that same shopping center right next to Joey O's. If you look in your agenda packet that I gave you, and I will re-give this to you, you should have seen some sign renderings to what this looked like. You'll see the smaller one, and then you'll see the bigger one, and you'll see the difference of what it looks like. So again, scheduling this for July, the applicant will be here to answer any questions. I will go further into detail with this and have it cleaned up for you, and have the whereas, the consistency and all that.
Have a motion?
Go ahead, yes,
I
sir.
make a motion that we schedule this public hearing for July 10th.
Have a second. All right. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, disposition of directives other than the public hearing will be added to our disposition. Does anything
y'all.
else need to go on here? Everybody good?
Yep.
Nothing else? All right, moving on now to the public comments. Does anyone have any comments? All right. Go ahead, sir.
Rich Nowakowski, 929 T-Ticket in Chatham Glen. We understand that the city has purchased 4 acres of additional land by Fire Station 2. Some of our residents are concerned as to what's going to be the use, the end use of that 4.0 acres. Is it going to be public works? Because some of us have been told that the fire department is not going to put their training center and burn pit at the bridge by Station 1, that they're going to move it over to Station 2. So we have concerns about what's going to go on that property that you purchased. That's our big concern.
Okay, you want to answer that, Lisa? You've got the answer. You can go ahead and answer that.
We are in the preliminary design phase for what is going to go on that property out there. Public Works operations 100% will be moved to that area. We are also talking about the fire department's training center, which is a burn building, and the shooting range for the police department. But like I said, very preliminary. The council gave us money in this budget to start that design, so that's where we are. So you could email me and I'll send you whatever we got when we
Well,
get
at
it.
this time, the only thing that's locked in is the Public Works Department is the only thing that is guaranteed to be there. The other
Right.
things are still preliminary.
Now, when did we buy that?
Last year.
2 years ago,
year and a half
3
ago.
Several
years
years
ago.
Before me.
Yeah.
It was before me.
Yeah. About at least 2 years ago. Then.
And at the time that you bought it, you were buying it for Public Works, but we took an
Lay down,
additional a year or 18 months to see if there was any land closer that we could purchase that would put Public Works closer to town limits.
Core.
And the beach itself. But unfortunately, we weren't able to find anything closer. So we are moving forward with designing the building out there.
Anyone else? Sure you don't want to say something, Pete? All right. If not, any member of council have anything else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Y'all sure y'all won't discuss nothing else? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.